There's an old saying in law enforcement, no two calls are the same, and tonight that statement becomes a reality. What starts as a hit and run quickly morphs into a manhunt. What begins as a family dispute spirals into swinging sticks and bruised egos. What should be a quiet night becomes anything but. Tonight we bring you inside the blurred lines of justice, where every suspect is a mystery, every sidewalk a stage, and every decision by law enforcement could mean the difference between resolution or escalation. This isn't about glamour, it's about grit, fast thinking, and human behavior under pressure. We're on the east side of the county, a region with vast open stretches of road-aging neighborhoods and a mixture of rural calm and sudden chaos. It's the type of place where trouble doesn't scream, it simmers. And when it boils over, it happens fast. Officer on radio copy. State Patrol had a hit and run off the freeway. Suspects on foot. We're en route. Commentary. This is the starting point. A call that seems routine, a hit and run where nobody was hurt. But behind that simplicity hides a layered story. Repeat offenders. Fear of getting caught. Citizens taking justice into their own hands. We've seen it countless times. Suspects bolt not because the crime is so serious, but because their past is. The man we're about to meet didn't run because of the accident. He ran because he's been down this road before. Real-life example. In 2018, Detroit saw a similar case. A citizen chased a DUI suspect for 2 blocks before officers arrived. The suspect had fled because he had multiple active warrants. The man who chased him was later honored by his community, then given a cautionary warning by police. Next time, call it in. Don't play hero. Here's the first rule of citizen engagement. Help with your eyes, not your feet. Call it in. Give a description. Let the pros do the chasing. That one decision could save your life. Witness. He was right here. Then he climbed that fence. I tried to stop him. He just took off. Officer. All right, stay put. We'll take it from here. Narrator. The officers begin a grid search. They split up, checking alleyways behind dumpsters through tall brush, lining the back of the lot. It's dusk. The fading sun casts long shadows, and every movement in the corner of the eye looks like a potential threat. This isn't Hollywood. There are no chase music or jump cuts, just breathing communication and instinct. An officer lifts his radio, white male, long hair, red cross on shirt. Suspect last seen heading eastbound. Keep eyes open. Moments later, a flash of white in the foliage. One officer motions silently to another, raising 2 fingers. Silent takedown protocol. They close in slowly, flashlights drawn but not on. Then, officer shouting, "Come out with your hands up. Interlace your fingers. Turn around slowly." The suspect emerges, bearded, scruffy, panting. His white shirt soaked in sweat. His eyes darting, but his arms up. Officer. Well, look who it is. You again. Commentary. Recognition is a powerful tool in policing. The officer knows this man from another arrest, a DUI from months ago, and that familiarity works to the officer's advantage. The suspect recognizes that he's been caught by someone who already knows his tricks. There's no bluff left. Officer, you don't have a license. Do you suspect I was just scared. I didn't hit anyone. Officer, you ran. That's enough. Analysis. What might have been a citation becomes a felony evasion case. That's the cost of panic. Repeat offenders often react with flight rather than reason, but flight always escalates consequences. Real-life case. In Texas, a man named Javier T. was arrested 5 times for fleeing traffic stops. Each time the pattern was similar: minor infraction, panic, foot pursuit, capture. By the 6th incident, local officers knew his route by heart. "I've arrested you," before they'd say. Javier eventually admitted, "I just didn't want to go back." Fear doesn't erase accountability, it deepens it. Scene transition. Officers gather witness statements. One man holds a phone, shaking slightly. Witness. I told him to stay. Told him cops were coming. He nodded, then took off. Officer. We appreciate you calling. That was the right move. Commentary. Citizens are often the bridge between chaos and control, but the moment they cross into direct intervention, they risk turning a call into a casualty. Scene closed. Suspect in cuffs placed in patrol car. Officers prepare to transfer custody to State Patrol. Narrator: no one was hurt, but the story could have ended differently. That's the thin line patrol officers walk every night. Sibur, seen a small trailer park. The evening sun casts long shadows across the gravel road. Law enforcement units roll in tires, crunching over broken glass and dry leaves. The air is heavy with tension. An older woman, Diana, sits on a porch, visibly distressed. Her breathing is heavy. Across from her, a man, Ron, leans on a fence post, rubbing his shin, where dark bruises are forming. Diana: he hit me. He used the stick on me. I told him to leave and he didn't. Ron: she attacked me first. She came out swinging like I was robbing her daughter from inside the trailer. That's my bag. My clothes. He had no right bringing them here. Officer: okay. Everyone slow down. Let's separate and start from the beginning. Narrator: this is classic chaos, 3 stories tangled together by blood history and bad timing. Officers have to do the hard work now, separate truth from noise, fear from fiction. These scenes aren't rare. They happen daily across America. Domestic disputes like this one are among the most volatile and unpredictable calls an officer can respond to. The officers speak to each party individually. One officer approaches Diana. Officer: ma'am, tell me what happened from the start. Diana: he showed up with my daughter's bag. I told him to leave it and go. He started shouting, telling me I'm the reason she's leaving him. Then he pulled out that big stick like a club or something. I got scared. I tried to take it, and he hit me. Cut to the officer interviewing Ron. Ron: she ran at me with that stick, officer. I was just trying to drop off the clothes. I didn't want no drama, but she started screaming, calling me names, waving the thing. She hit me. Look at my leg. I grabbed the stick so she wouldn't hit me again. I didn't mean to hit her, but I did to stop her. That's it. Commentary: mutual combat, one of the most confusing outcomes for any domestic call. Both parties feel wronged. Both claim self-defense, and often both are partially right and wrong. Real-life example. In 2019, a case in rural Alabama involved a man delivering his ex-wife's belongings. He was struck with a shovel after an argument escalated. He retaliated, was arrested, and the case was dismissed due to unclear fault. The officers said, when emotion replaces logic, law gets blurry. Back at the scene, officers find the stick, an old pickaxe handle worn and splintered. It's leaning against the trailer's step. Shiori: daughter: that's the one. My granddad gave it to me. Told me to keep it for safety, but he didn't mean like this. Officer: has he hit you before, daughter Ron? Yeah, once or twice. Nothing serious. We argue, but mom always gets involved. She hates him. Narrator: the officers are piecing together more than a crime. They're unpacking years of dysfunction. Abuse doesn't always wear bruises. It hides in habits, expectations, old arguments revisited on newer battlefields. Officers regroup to debrief. One officer radios in for a domestic assault report kit. Another begins photographing Diana's injuries. Commentary: the law allows reasonable force to defend oneself, but only proportionally. If you're hit once, you can't justify a beating. If you disarm someone, you're not entitled to vengeance. Officers must ask, was this protection or payback? Officer pulls Ron aside. Officer: Ron, we're going to place you in the car while we sort this out. You're not under arrest yet, but stay seated, keep calm. Ron: you gotta be kidding me. She attacked me. She's the one who should be in cuffs, officer. Which is why we're taking statements. Let the facts speak. Meanwhile, Diana shows the officer a deep bruise on her thigh. She winces as she sits down. Diana: he didn't have to hit me like that. Even if I grabbed the stick first, he didn't have to go that far. Officer: do you want to press charges, Diana? I want him to leave us alone. But yeah, I want him charged. Officer documents the stick, takes pictures, and begins filling the arrest report. Narrator: it's never simple. It never will be. What started as a clothing drop turned into a criminal charge. And yet both of them may still see each other again. That's how trauma cycles work, interrupted but rarely ended. Real-life commentary. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, over 60% of intimate partner violence victims return to their abuser. Not because they want the pain, but because familiarity offers illusionary safety. The big stick in this story wasn't just a weapon. It was a symbol of control, of past violence, of desperation. Scene ends. Officers escort Ron to the squad car. Diana receives medical aid and a victim's pamphlet. Officer, we'll file everything tonight. You can contact the prosecutor if you want to follow through. We'll also note your statement for the court. Diana, thank you. I'm tired of this. Seen a dimly lit apartment complex just past twilight. A small cluster of buildings surrounds a gravel lot. Two police cruisers pull in. The call is for a domestic disturbance, a woman reportedly assaulted possibly by her husband. Dispatch radio. Units responding to 500 Carson Way. Female caller reports repeated physical abuse. Suspect is believed to be asleep in a gold sedan outside the residence. Chaparm. Narrator domestic violence calls are some of the most emotionally charged situations police face. High volatility, high stakes. Often victims and suspects are intertwined emotionally and legally. Many are married, raising kids, sharing homes. Untangling truth from trauma is a delicate operation. The officers knock on the apartment door. A woman answers. Her face is tired, her eyes swollen, her upper lip slightly split. A bruise blooms on her cheek. Woman softly. That's Kenny, my husband. He did this. Again. Officer. Is he still here? Woman, he's sleeping in the car, out front. The officers speak to her, gently coaxing the story out. Her voice quivers as she recounts it. Woman, he got mad over nothing. Started yelling, then shoved me against the wall. I tried to get away. He grabbed my arms, twisted them. I kicked him off. He said I made him do it. He always says that. Commentary. Classic manipulation pattern. Abusers deflect responsibility. Gaslighting. Shifting blame. Demeaning language followed by physical control. It's as predictable as it is damaging. Real-life parallel. In a 2020 case in Oregon, a domestic abuser used nearly identical tactics: denial, physical intimidation, blaming the victim. It took 3 police reports before charges stuck. Why? Because the victim was afraid to press charges. This is the norm, not the exception. Officers approach the gold sedan. Inside, a man, Kenny, is reclined in the front seat, arms folded, eyes shut. Officer, sir, step out of the vehicle, please. Kenny, groggy. Why? I'm not bothering anybody. I left the apartment, didn't I? Officer, we just want to talk. Kenny opens the door but stays seated. His tone shifts from drowsy to defensive. Kenny, she's lying, man. I didn't touch her. Look at me, I'm in the car. I walked away, officer. Step out of the car, sir. We need to speak with you away from the vehicle. Kenny steps out but refuses to turn around. Kenny, you gonna cuff me for what I did the right thing. I walked away. I didn't hit nobody. Another officer slowly steps in behind him. Kenny tenses. Officer, turn around. Hands behind your back. Kenny, this is ridiculous. You're arresting me based on her word. He resists. Officers grab his wrists. A brief struggle ensues. Not violent, but loud. Kenny, you're making a mistake. She's the one who's crazy. I'm the victim narrator. This is where training comes in. Officers use verbal commands, physical leverage, and calm repetition to de-escalate. It doesn't always work, but in this case, it does. With Kenny cuffed and seated in the cruiser, officers return to the apartment to continue gathering evidence. Officer, have there been other incidents like this? Woman, too many to count. I didn't call before. I was scared, still am. Officer, you ever file for a restraining order? Woman, no. He always talks me out of it, says he'll change. Commentary. This is the cyclical nature of abuse. Tension, explosion, remorse, honeymoon. Repeat. Victims stay because they believe the apology, or they fear what happens if they leave. Both are powerful forces. Real-life data. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 women in the U.S. experience severe physical violence by an intimate partner. Over 50% of those women never report the abuse. Scene officers document the woman's injuries. Photos, notes, witness statements. Officer, you're doing the right thing. We're here to help. And if he comes back, call us. Anytime. Woman, I just want peace. I'm so tired. Scene shifts back to Kenny in the cruiser. He rants, shouts, then goes quiet. Kenny to himself, I didn't do anything wrong. She pushed me. She did. Narrator denial, rationalization, externalizing blame. These aren't just behaviors, they're warning signs. And the system has to catch them before they spiral into tragedy. Officer voiceover. We'd rather arrest 100 angry men than carry out one more domestic fatality call. That's the reality. This isn't just about law, it's about lives. Seen later that night. The officers gather at the back of the precinct. One leans against the cruiser, spraying down his vest. Another writes in his notepad, shaking off the weight of the previous calls. A third quietly sips coffee from a chipped thermos, staring off into the stillness. Narrator. The hardest part of the job isn't the chase or the confrontation. It's the quiet after. The pause where your mind replays what just happened. Could it have gone worse? Could it have gone better? Was the force justified? Did we use just enough but not too much? Cut to a training room dimly lit. A projector screen shows a simulation, a man refusing to comply during a stop. Officers in training discuss response tactics. Officer voiceover. We're trained to go through levels. Verbal commands first, then presence, then non-lethal options, pepper spray batons. Guns are the absolute last resort. Every decision is measured in split seconds. Commentary. In Kenny's case, it didn't come to blows, but it could have. He was belligerent, aggressive, and emotionally unpredictable. A small trigger-raised voice, a wrong touch could have ignited a brawl. If Kenny had chosen to resist more physically, officers would have had no choice but to escalate. That's where OC spray comes in, commonly known as pepper spray. It's painful, disorienting, and almost always effective. But it wears off. It leaves no scars. And it saves lives, both civilian and officer. Pepper spray is often misunderstood. It isn't a punishment. It's a barrier, a pause button. It gives officers seconds, precious seconds, to subdue a threat without stepping into lethal territory. Real-life example. In 2017, a suspect in Missouri resisted arrest by locking himself inside a gas station bathroom. Officers spent over 40 minutes trying to talk him down. Finally, a burst of pepper spray ended it. No one injured. No broken bones, no lawsuit. That single canister avoided what could have been a crisis captured on phone cameras for the world to judge. Seen back at the patrol car, an officer logs the evidence bag, one pickaxe handle, one domestic violence statement, 3 witness reports. Another officer rubs his temple and leans back against the cruiser. Officer, all done. God, I hate these days. Nothing ever feels right. You know, partner, you did the job. That's all you can do. We can't fix people. We can only stop things from getting worse. Commentary. That's the heartbreak. Police officers aren't therapists. They're not mediators. They step into chaos, do damage control, and move to the next crisis. They see people at their worst and try to bring order without becoming part of the mess. Every action they take will be reviewed, analyzed, second-guessed, body cam footage, supervisor debriefings, civilian oversight. Scene footage shows pepper spray being demonstrated in training. Officers flinch as it hits. Their eyes water. Their breathing halts. It's not pleasant, but it's informative. Training officer. We don't use force because we want to. We use it because someone else left us no other choice. The goal is compliance, not conquest. Commentary. The public often sees force as aggression, but internally law enforcement sees it as math. What level neutralizes the danger with the least damage? What tool allows everyone to go home? That's why good officers use force sparingly. That's why body cams matter. They protect the truth. They protect the good ones from bad assumptions, and they catch the rare wrongdoers. Scene. A body cam clip plays. A subject swings at an officer. The officer backs up, sprays once. The suspect drops to the ground screaming. No one dies. No shots fired. Narrator. That's a win. In a world where adrenaline spikes and decisions are made in seconds, any day that ends without an ER visit or a funeral is a success. Real-life commentary. Police forces across the U.S. have reduced use of force complaints significantly by implementing clearer policies, more training, and de-escalation mandates. Cities like Camden, NJ, and Tucson, AZ have rebuilt trust by embracing transparency and empathy. They prove something critical: safety and reform can coexist. Scene night fades to morning. The call log clears. Officers finish reports and return to the locker room. The silence is heavy, but it means no more screams tonight. Officer, one more night down. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Narrator force is not the story, it's the footnote. It's what happens when diplomacy fails, when fear overwhelms reason, when trauma meets adrenaline. But when used with respect, restraint, and responsibility, it can be the tool that prevents tragedy. Scene morning light filters through the precinct windows. The overnight shift is wrapping up. Officers sit quietly in the break room, some sipping coffee, others hunched over report forms. The mood is pensive, not celebratory, a mix of exhaustion and reflection. Narrator. When the adrenaline fades and the streets go quiet, the only thing louder than silence is memory. Officers carry more than weapons and radios. They carry the stories of every call they've answered, every face they've arrested or comforted. And the hardest part, knowing most of those people will be back. Scene an officer. Ted leans back in his chair, rubbing his face. He's been on the job for 7 years. He speaks quietly to a younger recruit across from him. Ted, you ever notice how it's the same addresses, same names? I've responded to the Carson trailer park more times than I can count. It's like trauma lives there. Generational, rookie. You think it ever changes, Ted? I think some people want it to. But it's like trying to swim up a waterfall. If there's no help after we leave, it just resets. Commentary. Police officers are first responders, but rarely final ones. They're the first line in a much longer process: legal systems, social workers, housing officials. But the public often assumes that once an officer arrives, the problem is fixed. In reality, that's just the beginning. Real-life observation. In 2022, a study by the Urban Institute revealed that 68% of police calls in mid-sized cities were not criminal in nature. They involved welfare checks, disputes, noise complaints, and mental health episodes. Calls where compassion mattered more than cuffs. Seen a female officer, SGT, Leva reflects as she types up her third domestic report of the week. Leva. You get numb. I hate saying it, but you do. If I cried for every kid I saw scared of their dad, or every mom who covered up bruises, I'd never stop crying. Narrator. But they don't become emotionless. They become efficient, focused, hardened by repetition, but still vulnerable when no one's looking. Trauma leaves fingerprints, and the uniform doesn't erase them. Scene Ted speaks again, now addressing a group of rookies during their end-of-shift debrief. Ted, you know what helps when you get a thank you. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes someone says it and it sticks. You remember it, keeps you going. Because most nights all you get is yelling. Commentary. Recognition is rare. Appreciation even rarer. Officers don't do this job for praise, but they're still human. They still carry what they see. Real-life inside officer wellness programs are being implemented across departments from New York to Seattle, providing therapy, crisis counseling, and peer support groups. Because recognizing trauma isn't weakness, it's survival. Seen outside the precinct. Sun fully up now. Officers begin heading home. Some to families, some to empty apartments. All of them carrying the weight of the night. Narrator. Before the next shift clock in, before the next 911 call rings out, there's this moment, brief, quiet, and sacred, where the uniform comes off and the person underneath tries to remember who they are beyond the badge. Ashik seeing a wide aerial shot of the city at sunrise. The streets are waking up. Coffee shops opening, school buses loading, patrol cars already rolling out again. Life moves on, but the echoes of the night remain. Narrator. Tonight we saw justice in fragments. A man chased through a storage lot. A domestic dispute exploding into violence. A woman choosing courage over fear. And officers trying, sometimes failing to contain chaos with calm. What connects these stories isn't just the badge. It's the human condition. People making decisions under pressure. Some impulsive, some instinctual, some generational, but all of them real. Scene. The suspect from the hit and run sits in a holding cell, head in hands. He's not dangerous, just lost. The weight of years of mistakes hanging over him. Narrator, he wasn't evil. He was afraid, and fear made him run, just like it had before. Scene Diana, the mother from the stick incident, quietly folds her daughter's clothes. She packs them into a bag, the same bag that started the argument. There's no satisfaction on her face, just exhaustion. Narrator, she wanted safety, maybe even justice. What she got was paperwork and pain. Scene. The woman from Kenny's case closes her apartment door and slides the deadbolt. She sits on the couch in silence. Her phone lights up with a missed call from Kenny. She doesn't answer. Narrator. That silence is strength. The hardest thing to do is nothing when every part of you wants to go back. But she didn't go back. Not tonight. Commentary. These aren't heroes and villains. They're people. And the officers, they're people too, responding not just with training, but with instinct, fear, compassion, and fatigue. And somewhere in the middle of all that, laws applied, sometimes clumsily, sometimes expertly, but always under pressure. Real-life reflection. One veteran officer said, "We don't deal in justice. We deal in moments. We try to steer moments in the right direction. That's all, and that's the truth." Seen back in the precinct, a board with mugshots, maps, and pins from the past 24 hours, dozens of names, faces, cases, most forgotten, but not all. Narrator. Behind every arrest report is a ripple, a child whose father didn't come home, a woman who finally felt heard, a witness who stepped up, an officer who now sleeps with one eye open. These are the ripples of justice, not big waves, but steady ones. Final commentary. Let this be a reminder, justice isn't just about laws. It's about judgment, mercy, courage, the decision to stand still when others run, to listen when others shout, to act with restraint when the world expects force. Tonight wasn't perfect, but it mattered. Scene. The precinct lights dim as the last officer from the night shift heads out. Fade to black. Shwunam. Voiceover Cops is filmed on location with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.